Hello everyone, very good evening and good morning to all. Thanks for joining. Let us start our today's demo session. So from this time, the live training sessions will be on the LMS portal. So this is the LMS portal. I hope you can able to see my screen. And from this LMS portal, you can see the student dashboard here. So if you go to the enrolled courses, yes, you can see all the enrolled courses. So whatever the courses you have enrolled with the NICIT Academy, so you will get this particular link, and then from here you can access the course. It's a lifetime access, so we have given. So for the better student experiences, so we have taken this particular LMS portal, and here you can, for example, if you have logged in with that IACS CDI or Azure, so whatever the courses you have logged in, so you will get this particular portal here. So here if you go to this recordings, yes, you will have the recordings, all the recordings. So whatever the courses we completed, that the sessions, the recording will be available here. You can watch it from here. So recording, materials, assignments, so everything here it will be available. So you can access it in one single point. So this one I want to inform you before starting the Azure demo session. So if you want to enroll for this Azure training, yes, you can go to this home button, then you can start enrolling. Okay, so this one. So let me introduce our trainer, Shreyas. He will take over now.
All right.
Yes, Shreyas. So you can start.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandra. Yeah. So, guys, as I was discussing, we are going to dive into the heart of Azure data engineering and how it works. How do you manage data in Azure? How do you manage data architecture in Azure? And then why is data engineering important? And why should we go for Azure data engineering in specific? All right. So, Azure is going to offer you a comprehensive set of tools, yes, and various services that are going to empower you to become a good data engineer. All right. Because it's not all about the skills, it's also about the tools that you're using. So now these tools on Azure that are present, like Synapse Analytics, like your data lakes, your Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, all these different tools and services, they are going to help you build a resilient, scalable uh, data pipelines. Yes, and they're going to help you to manage this diverse data source. You can have a variety of data source where you can collect data from, and then you're going to leverage these advanced analytical capabilities, yes, that are going to be provided to you by Microsoft. Yes. So what are we going to learn in this journey? That is something that we need to first of all understand. But before that, a bit of an introduction about myself. So my name is Shres. I will be your trainer. So I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm an MCT, and I have more than 11 Azure certificates as of now. And I've been training since past 10 years and have trained almost more than 80,000 students. Yeah. So my enthusiasm for cloud and data is going to, add to the fuel and the hunger to help others to unlock their potential in these exciting fields. So whether you're a beginner or you're just looking to advance your skills in the field of data engineering, I would be there. I'll be there with you to equip you with the knowledge and help you with the confidence to succeed. All right. Now, talking about the course itself, the course is going to be a 30-day program. We'll be having lectures for around 1.5 hours per day. So we'll be having lectures for 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes. And then towards the end of the session, 10-15 minutes, we'll have a candid discussion where you can ask all your queries, ask all your doubts related to the topics that you would have covered on that particular day. All right. Now, it's called a 30-day program, but we are going to take more. All right, because eventually it all comes down to the pace of learners, and that is something that we are going to follow. So even if it takes 34 days, 35 days, that is not a problem. We are going to cover each and every topic in depth. All right. You will get access to all the recorded lectures and the recorded videos. Yes, you will have the on-demand videos available for you. And one more thing that you're going to get, yes, that is very specific, is the hands-on lab. All right. Now, just going through the theory and not being able to practice it is not going to help you. All right. We all know the importance of doing it ourselves and then learning. Yes. So that is something that we're going to keep in mind. And those labs will be given to you for 60 days. Now, I'll talk more about labs in the coming slides. All right. So it's going to be a comprehensive learning experience. The course stands out due to the extensive hands-on approach, as I said. Yes, so you get more than 500 hours of labs. Now that is something that is really going to help you, and you are going to gain practical exposure, all right, to the real world data engineering challenges through those labs. So we have both guided and unguided challenge labs, which you're going to perform, which you're going to do at your own pace. Yes, to learn the concepts that we've already covered in the class. The path, the learning path that we're going to follow, it's going to offer a meticulously designed learning path. Yes, it is combined with step by step guided labs coverage, and also the topics that you need to have an in-depth knowledge about in order to get certified in DP203. All right. So the purpose of this course is to make sure that you get certified in DP203. Now, DP203 is Microsoft Azure's certification to become a data engineer associate. All right. If you're able to clear the exam DP203, you will be certified by Microsoft as an Azure data engineer. So yes, we are going to cover an in-depth coverage of this course. We'll cover all the topics that you would have heard of, all the buzzwords that you would have heard of, like Azure Storage, Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Stream Analytics, Azure Data Factory, Azure Event Hub, Azure Databricks. All of that we are going to cover. All right. But what you should know beforehand is that you should have a good experience with SQL. You should be thorough with SQL. You should have a good understanding of relational databases and SQL queries. And on top of that, you should also have some basic understanding of Python. All right. Basic understanding of Python is very important, because when we talk about data transformation using Synapse or data transformation using Databricks, that is where PySpark comes into the picture. All right. PySpark or Scala, one of those two programming languages you need to know at least. Yes, because you're going to write code for your data transformation. Now, it's absolutely fine if you're not a pro with Python or not a pro with Scala. We are going to have a dedicated session where we'll discuss the basics of PySpark. All right, at least in so much depth that it becomes clear to you as to how to at least do simple basic transformation. Yes, eventually when you learn more of Python, you learn more of those libraries, you know more of those functionalities that these libraries offer, and you're going to implement everything that you know. But where to implement it, it's going to be an Azure infrastructure. How do you build that Azure infrastructure is what we are going to help you with. All right. So how do you create an Azure Data Factory resource? Yes. How do you build your pipelines on Azure Data Factory? What are different data sets? What are pipelines? What are mapping data flows? Do not worry. All the topics will be covered in depth. Yes. This course will also make sure that we go through the basics of Azure. Now, the problem with most of you, I think, would be that you are new to Azure itself, let alone data engineering. You are new to Azure. Yes, you have not worked with Azure before. You do not know what the Azure architecture is, what are the different terminologies used for Azure. And that is absolutely fine. That is the exact reason as to why we are going to start with the basics of Azure, and that is AZ900. All right. So we are only going to cover the topics that relates to AZ900. Now, what is AZ900? AZ900 is Microsoft fundamental certification. All right. So this is the most basic certification that Microsoft gives, and that is Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. And the code word for this certification is AZ900. All right. And by the end of this course, you will be around 60 to 70% ready for AZ900. Now, why do I say 60 to 70%? Because 30% of it, yes, is something which is not very important for DP203. Yes, for understanding Azure data engineering. And that is why we do not cover it. But we will be providing you with the supplementary material that you can go through. It's not a very difficult course. It's a very basic course. Azure Fundamentals is one of the most basic certification exams that you can write in your life. All right. And 60-70% of it is more than sufficient for you to clear the exam, because that 60-70% almost holds 80% of the questions asked in the exam. All right. Then, since we are going to start with managing data in Azure, therefore DP 900 also becomes important for us. All right. What is DP 900? This is Microsoft Azure Data Fundamentals. All right. What does Data Fundamentals mean? This is another Microsoft based certification which will help you gain fundamental understanding of how do you manage data in Azure. All right. How do you store data? How do you manage data? How do you secure your data? And by the end of this course, you would also be eligible to attempt this certification, because this particular course we are going to cover end to end. Yes. Then at the end of the course, you will also be able to take DP 203 certification exam. That is your Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Associate. One thing that we need to understand is, why is data engineering important, right? That we'll cover. What is the industry trends in the current world revolving around data engineering? Yes, but let's just cover this slide first. So obviously you will have the recorded lectures, you will have the hands-on lab support, and towards the end of the course, I will do an exam prep. So you will have this exam prep where I will guide you how you can write Microsoft examinations. All right. How you can write, as in, how are you going to register for this examination? What is the step-by-step process? What all you need to keep in mind? What are the different ways in which you can write the exam? Let's say somebody wants to write it at their home using their own machine. Somebody wants to go to a, let's say, an exam center and want to write it there. And what are the different ways? What are the total marks? What is the passing marks? Is there negative marking or not? How you should approach the exam? All of that discussion will be held in the exam prep session, where I will tell you how you're going to register and what all you need to keep in mind if, let's say, you want to go to a test center or you want to write it at home. All right. Then we will be sharing very commonly asked interview questions with you. Yes, these interview questions are going to be topic wise. So we'll have interview questions on data lake. Yes, the data lake storage solution. We will have questions on Synapse. We'll have question on Azure Data Factory. We'll have questions on Azure Data Bricks. We'll have question on Azure Stream Analytics. Yes, and then a few questions on PySpark as well. All right, so these are the most common services or tools, you can say, that you're going to use for your data transformation in Azure. All right. So whether you are a newcomer to data engineering, or let's say you are a professional who already has a fair bit of idea about data engineering, this course is suitable for all of you. Because when you talk about Azure data engineering, at that point, your knowledge about data engineering is good to have. But you also need to know how you're going to create this architecture in Azure, how you're going to take advantage of Synapse, what Synapse is capable of, how do you connect it to different data stores, how do you connect it to, let's say, the source data, how do you connect it to the target data source where you want to put your data for analysis. All of that understanding you need to have. Yes, with respect to Azure, that is very important. Data engineering in itself is good to know, but eventually you should have an idea as to how you're going to implement it on cloud, because that is where everybody is moving to. All right. If I just want to tell you a very small benefit as to why companies now want to create these data pipelines on the cloud, the biggest reason is that a tool very simple like Azure Data Factory. Yes, Azure Data Factory lets you create pipelines without having to write code. You don't have to write a single line of code. Yes, when working with Azure Data Factory. Now, how does this help you as an organization? Anyone? Now, these pipelines, even though they are created using a user interface, a graphical interface where you just have to drag and drop different to copy methods or different transformations, in the backend, there is a code being generated for each of those UI elements that you have. All right. And a code is also getting generated in the backend, not just for the UI elements, but the different connectivity and the different configurations that you do for those elements. All right. So for example, something very simple as a copy data activity. So we have a simple copy data activity that you can put in a pipeline. So pipeline is nothing but a combination of activities. Yes. A data pipeline from end to end will include first one activity. That activity would be to get the data from the source. The second activity would be, let's say you want to remove certain columns, you need to get a specific columns or a specific set of columns. Let's say the second activity is that you want to filter or aggregate those columns, or let's say uh, you know transform your data in any other way. That could be another activity, and then you can have another final activity where all this processed data goes and sits into a database. So what is a pipeline? A pipeline is nothing but a combination of different activities that you're going to define on this database. So something very simple is a copy data activity that you have. Now what this copy data will need? The copy data will need the source from where I will copy the file. Yes, and then it will also need a sink. Sink means where am I going to put all this data after I have transformed it. Yes. So in copy data, this is a very simple activity. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to define any query, nothing. All you need to define is a source and a sink. That is, I want to copy my data from place A to place B. Yes. Now, even if I define this by selecting source from a drop down, that my source has to be this storage account, my destination has to be a SQL database present in my let's say own subscription. I can select it from my Azure subscription, or let's say the server is outside, then I need the address to that server. Now, even though over here I am just selecting UI elements and configuring the source, configuring the destination, in the backend a code is being prepared to implement this. Yes, let's say that code is written in Python. For example, very simple, it's a Python code in the backend. Who's going to manage this Python code? That is going to be your CSP. What is a CSP? A CSP is a cloud service provider. Cloud service providers, in our case, in the case of Azure, is Microsoft. So Microsoft Azure is the CSP. Yes. So that CSP is going to manage how this UI elements convert into Python code. That is their headache. Now, as an organization, can anyone tell me how does that benefits you? If you're an organization and you don't have to, let's say, manage the code, how does it benefits you? So one of the most common issues that you would see people talking about in today's world is cloud migration. And one more thing is cloud modernization. Yes, migration and modernization means picking up my uh, resources or my infrastructure from my on-premise environment. Your on-premise environment means your own data center, and putting it to a cloud. Yes, that is what basically migration means. And modernization means that the application, the legacy applications, very old applications written, let's say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 15 years ago, I need to modernize those applications, and I need to make those applications cloud native. What does cloud native means? I have to run them on cloud. Now cloud might not support 20-year-old version of Python, for example, right? Let's say 15-year-old version of Python, there would be some packages which are obsolete now, there would be some syntax change. Yes, Now, as an organization, that is a headache for you. Yes, modernization is a very big headache. Why? Because then you need to hire a set of engineers, a team of engineers who now have to, break down that entire code base and modernize it. Right? That's a big headache. And how do pipelines help you with that? The pipelines, when they continue to exist, yes, the underlying code will be automatically updated by the CSP as and when the language will undergo any change. All right. And this is one of the reasons as to why most of the organization today, they want to go ahead with data pipelines. Yes, they want to reduce, they want a no code or a low code solution. That is why no code or low code solutions are, important, or let's say in demand these days. All right. Now, data engineering as a market today, it's 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 becoming a cornerstone of the modern economy. All right. In India as well. In India, it is projected that the market size of data engineering, yes, it is projected to reach around $127 billion US dollars by 2028. And this particular, what do I say, market today sits at around 70 to 75 billion US dollars. All right. So the projected growth per year, it is around 17 to 80%. Yes, CAGR, compounded annual growth. Yes, but why is it happening? Why is data engineering becoming so popular? Yes, why? What opportunities are present in the field of data engineering, especially for, let's say, students who want to pursue their career in data engineering, or aspiring data engineers, IT professionals who want to learn data engineering, and then people who already know the concepts of data engineering, but they're not really well aware of how data engineering works on different clouds. Yes, so first of all, we need to understand the growth. Yes, data engineering involves designing and building the system that is going to collect, store, and analyze data. All right. Eventually, data engineering is going to design this system. The process, all right, it's a process that will ensure that the data flows smoothly from the source towards the destination, and in between you are also doing certain set of transformations on the data. Yes, isn't that the ETL process? You extract it, you transform it, you load it to your data source, the data store. Right. Now this entire process, as I already told you, in India is expected to grow to around 127 billion US dollars by 2028. Yes. And why is it growing is something that we need to understand. Yes. Because firstly, there is an increase in adoption. Yes. Business and technologies companies across various sectors are increasingly adopting data engineering to leverage data for decision making. Yes, they want to rely on past data in order to make future decisions. Yes, they want to improve efficiency. They want to gain competitive advantage over their colleagues, over their peers. Yes. Now, the rise of technologies like artificial intelligence has also led to this data revolution. All right. Machine learning and big data analytics has accelerated the demand for data engineers. Yes. Because when you're creating machine learning algorithms and machine learning models, you need data. Yes. And that could not be just any data, it has to be clean, ready to be analyzed, ready to be used for training data. Yes. And who's going to collect the data, transform it, and make it available for use? That is the role of a data engineer to do. Yes. In today's market, there are around 50,000 data engineers job currently listed across different job portals in India itself. All right. There are over 50,000 data engineers job. Yes. And the market continues to expand. The demand for skilled data engineers is expected to grow, and it is going to offer very lucrative career opportunities to a lot of people. Yes, the digital transformation also, you can say, with the kind of network penetration and mobile phone penetration that we've had in India. Yes, you can see people using internet, people using mobile devices, smart devices in the remotest of places in this country. So what that has done is that is generating more and more data that needs to be read, that needs to be analyzed, that needs to be understood in order to understand what people really want. Yes. So this digital transformation has a big impact on the rise of demand for data engineers. The global shift to these digital platforms, it has created an explosion, right? If very simple example, right? If you remember back in the day when you used to just watch sports, yes, sports was all about, there being a team, whether it's a cricket team or a football team, and there being a coach. But if you look at it today, there are data analysts. Yes, you need data analysts. There are people collecting data. So everywhere you see where you did not have any presence of data engineers or data analysts, even in those places now, we need to understand data because everybody wants to make decision based on data. Yes, and the increased adoption of cloud computing. Yes, why cloud computing increased adoption? Because earlier back in the day, organizations used to build their own data centers. Correct? You would see any major IT company, any major IT organization, they would go ahead and build their own data centers. But with the advent of the cloud, it is crystal clear that having your workloads on the cloud rather than in your on-premise environments is a much better way. It's going to save you a lot of more money because your capital expenditure comes to zero. Yes, if you're building a data center, you need a lot of capital expenditure. It's called capex, right? You may have heard of the term called capex. What is capex? It's a capital expenditure, the initial investment, the initial major investment that you need to build a data center. You need to build a building, you need to get a building, you need to buy those expensive servers, networking devices, storage devices, yes, cables and whatnot, cooling systems in a data center. So there's a lot of investment that goes into data center. And now today, organizations want to avoid that. They want a simple solution where, let's say, their entire IT infrastructure is not their headache. Why? Because when they've hosted their data in, let's say, a Microsoft Azure data center, there the maintenance and the management of data center is not that organization's fault or responsibility. It is Microsoft's responsibility to manage that data center. Now earlier when you had your own data centers, you would have to hire certain let's say server administrators. Yes, all those people, all those profiles which were going to take care of your data center, they were going to do the management work, maintenance work. But now you don't need that. You don't need to have a dedicated department just to manage your IT infrastructure. You can have it all on the cloud. Instead, you can get some cloud engineers, yes, some database administrators, and they're going to take care of everything. Yes. Okay. Now, what does it mean for you as a student of data engineer, data engineering? It means that there is going to be high demand for skills. There is a booming demand for data engineers in the market today. Yes, for skilled professionals, obviously, and students who pursue education or training in data engineering can expect numerous jobs. All right, or they can expect numerous job opportunities, I would say. Yes, it offers you diverse career path. As a data engineer, you would not be related to a particular industry. You could be in any industry. It could be technology, it could be finance, it could be healthcare, retail, whatever you want. Yes, this diversity is the reason, because in any industry you go today, they want data engineering. They want to work with data, they want to collect data, they want to clean that data, they want to use that data to do analysis. Yes, and the field of data engineering is constantly evolving as well. All right, there are new technologies, new methodologies, it's always incoming. And this dynamic environment that you have around data engineering today, it encourages continuous learning. All right, for obviously your professional growth and making it an exciting career choice as well. All right. One second. Just a second. So now let's just basically discuss about the hands-on lab that we are going to distribute. Uh, so these hands-on labs are going to be official Microsoft labs. All right. These labs are curated and created by Microsoft themselves. There are 22 guided labs that you will be completing. All right. Each guided lab, it comes with 10 attempts. All right. Guided here basically means that to perform any particular activity or any particular task, you will have all the set of instructions on the right hand side of your window. Yes, to guide you as to how you're going to do it. Each of these attempts is a 2-hour attempt. All right. So that means you can launch a single lab 10 times, and each time it will be up and running for 2 hours. You will get a virtual machine is going to spin up for you, and the lab environment will be loaded into that virtual machine. Along with that, these labs on hands-on environment platform is going to help you with practice assessment also. Yes, there are on top of 22 guided labs, there are 11 challenge labs also. All right. These challenge labs, they come with 3 attempts per lab. So here you will not have the instructions. You are going to be given an environment, you are going to be given a task which you need to implement on your own. You need to perform these challenge labs. When you're done with the guided labs, you have the understanding of the let's say the service. If you're talking about Synapse, you should have in-depth knowledge about how you are going to implement a particular solution. Each lab given to you will be valid for 60 days. All right. So we generally give out these labs once we are done with around 1.5 hours of half weeks of training, because till then you don't need these labs. All right. So we give it to you around, let's say, the 10th day of the training, and from that particular day these labs will be valid for 60 days. All right. The labs are aligned with all the topics that you're going to cover in this particular exam. So I'll just show it to you what all labs are there. Just a minute. Now, nowhere you're going to get hands-on labs. All right. Uh, you just, people are going to tell you that create a free account, get those $200. It's not worth it. Yes, you need guidance. And these are the labs that you're talking about. All right. Now, these are official Microsoft Learning DP203 Azure Data Engineer labs. And you will see labs related to Synapse Analytics. You will see labs related to SQL. Yes, SQL databases, how you're going to transform data with SQL, how you're going to create something called as a lake database that we'll cover. Yes, how you're going to use Spark. Yes, how you're going to transform data with Spark, how you use Delta Lake, what is a data warehouse and how you're going to work with data warehouse, how do you load data into your data warehouse, how you're going to create pipelines in Synapse. Yes, how do you create something called as a Spark notebook in Synapse pipeline. All right. And then how do you work with Synapse and Cosmos DB? How do you work with Synapse and SQL? Yes. What is Stream Analytics? How do you ingest data from Synapse using Stream Analytics? Yes. How do you connect your Stream Analytics workspace with Power BI? Yes. There's a lab on Microsoft Purview as well. Then there are labs on Databricks. Yes. What is Databricks? Analyze files in Azure Databricks, create a Delta Lake in Azure Databricks. Yes. So there are all different sorts of labs that you're going to get. Connect Databricks with SQL, connect Azure Databricks with Data Factory. Now, if I open this, this is what you're going to see in the lab environment, how you're going to provision the resources. So there's a particular step to provision the resources, and then all these steps, what you have to perform. So the instructions will be on right hand side. On the left hand side, you will have a virtual machine which will have access to Azure portal, where you can go ahead and complete all these labs. All right. So like this, you will have all the instructions on the right hand side. Yes. Even the queries you will have, sample data also you will have, as to which sample data you have to use, what query you have to use here. Yes, the explanation of those queries, all of that will be here. So there's a lot of topics here that you're going to learn only through the labs itself. Yes, obviously we are going to cover a lot in the class, but then these hands-on lab are going to work like an extended arm for you. All right. So they're going to help you to learn more in a way that you're actually doing it. And when you learn by actually doing it, it remains in your head forever. All right. Uh, so that is something that we wanted to discuss with you. Apart from this, we have uh, another uh, demo video, all right, for the same course, which is hosted on YouTube. I'll just share the link, and if you go through that, yes, you can get to know more about what we are going to see, what we are going to cover. And if I just have to show you what Microsoft Certified Azure Data Engineer Associate certification involves, yes, so this is the official learn.microsoft.com page for it. So Microsoft Certified Azure Data Engineer Associate, and it says that you need to know basics of SQL, Python, and Scala. All right, you should have at least a certain level of solid understanding of it. If not, we'll cover it in basic, but then I hope all of you already know SQL. Python is not a very hard thing to learn. All right, so if you learn Python for around 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, in next 10 days, 15 days, you will be ready to understand at least what we are doing. All right, when we are writing Python or PySpark code. Now, in
Suresh,
Azure, yes,
so here the Python, we need to learn the Python as a developer or as a Python scripting.
Python scripting.
Okay. And
All
how
right,
much it is
so
different?
basically you need to learn PySpark.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, the topics that we will be covering in depth are going to be your data factory. This is something that all of you would have heard of. It's going to be Azure Synapse Analytics. We are going to cover Synapse Analytics. Stream Analytics, we'll see how do you manage streaming data. Yes, so mostly you do batch processing of data, but if we want to analyze streaming data, real-time data, then we use this service of Stream Analytics, and that is something we're going to do. We'll also work on Azure Event Hubs that generate streaming data. Yes, we'll talk about Azure Data Lake Storage, which is like the big data store that you have, where you're going to store your big data in Azure. And then we'll also talk about Azure Databricks. Now, there are also certain other topics that we are going to discuss, which is not mentioned here. We'll talk about SQL databases in Azure. We'll see how you can create SQL databases, how you can manage those SQL databases using something called as an Azure Data Studio. All right, so I'll show you how you're going to install Azure Data Studio on your machines and connect to a SQL database in order to manage that SQL database right from your machines. So that we are going to cover. We are also going to cover the basics of Azure. Yes, obviously this course is for this page is for data engineering only, so it will not tell you that we are going to cover the basics of Azure. But since I am assuming that most of you have no prior experience in Azure, you don't know what Azure is, so add basics of Azure over here, where we'll see what is Azure, what is public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, what are the different cloud services, infrastructure as a cloud, platform as a infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, all of that we'll see. So I'll just paste the link to the other demo video that we have, and to understand more about what we are going to cover, you can refer this. And apart from that, if you have any questions, I'll be taking them up now.
Hi, Suresh. Hello,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Python, we need to learn this OOPS concept things.
No, nothing like that.
So what and all need to cover in the Python we need to learn before joining this data engineering?
See, basically, you should know some basics of PySpark. What is an RDD? What is a data frame? All right. So when we are writing Python code, it should not be like that. Don't know how you defining a function in Python, or basics of data frame. We'll be covering that, but to an extent that you're able to understand how data transformation is working. But then eventually, you need a solid understanding of PySpark. Others, if you have any questions, please.
Sir,
Hi.
one question that
Mhm.
in this training, are we going to learn some error resolution or kind of things? Like if we are stuck somewhere, then how in the real-time environment, then how to
Yes,
resolve that one?
so for those services, we have the debugging services in them inbuilt, and we'll be taking a look at that as to if your pipelines are failing, how do you debug it? Those topics are covered.
Hi, this is Anirudh.
Mhm.
After completion of this course, is freshers are eligible for data engineering job roles?
See, after completion of this course, it depends totally on you. All right, because we are going to provide you all the learning. We are going to give you a hands-on environment as well. Yes, and
So I am a
one.
fresher, just pass out 2024 pass out.
So yes, in any organization that you join, you can definitely apply as a fresher in data engineering, because this course will help you get certified in Azure Data Engineering. So if you're certified in Azure Data Engineering, obviously anywhere you're going to apply, you're going to show that I have been certified by Microsoft themselves. And this is not just any other certification. This is a proctored certification exam that you're going to attempt. All right. There's a value to this certificate. If you go and search for data engineering jobs on LinkedIn or anywhere, in the job description, they would very easily mention the person should be DP203 certified. All right. Or if
Uh,
you're
I,
looking for,
I I heard this. This is a upskilling course for the who are in the professional.
no, it's for everybody. If you want to learn data engineering, it is for you as well. Because as I said, I will be teaching Azure from basics. All right. I'm going to show you what Azure is. I'm going to show you how you're going to create resources on Azure. And then, yes, certain prerequisite is there that you should at least know SQL. All right. Even if Python is something that you know half baked, at least SQL you should have expertise in.
Okay.
And what is the charges for certification cost, sir?
The certification cost, I think it's around $160 when I last checked.
For each certification?
No, so fundamental certifications will have a different cost. Associate level certifications will have a different cost associated with them. Just a second,
What
I'll
are
show you.
what is the cost for fundamental and associate level then? And is there any time gap should be there to go for first certification to second certification?
No, there is no time gap. You can write those at your own pace. So for DP203, it's around 5,000 rupees. And I guess for fundamentals, it's around 2 or 3,000 rupees.
Only?
Yes,
Oh,
that is what the certification exam will cost you to write the exam.
okay.
Yes, so for fundamentals, yes, this is your Microsoft certified Azure fundamental. The cost for the certification is 3,600. And for DP203, yes, exam DP203, it's around 4,800 INR.
Okay. So it is not too costly. You can
Yes,
go.
yes, you can definitely go through the training, learn the concepts, do the hands-on, do the sample questions that we will be sharing with you, and you can very easily get certified on DP203.
Then we can publish that on LinkedIn.
Yes, you can share your badges, you can share your certificates on LinkedIn. as I told you, a lot of organizations, while putting out those job listings, they mention that we require an Azure data engineer, and obviously to be certified by Microsoft as an Azure data engineer, you have a competitive edge amongst others who have applied for the job.
Yeah, basically they write those things, but after certification, they again take the interview. So this is the problem.
See, certification is also valid for 1 year. So after 1 year, you need to renew it. To renew the certificate, you don't have to pay anything to Microsoft. All right. The renew process is unproctored. They will give you a set of 15 to 20 questions on Microsoft Learn itself. You just need to answer those questions and your certificate will be renewed.
Okay.
So fundamental certifications, they don't have to be renewed every year. All right. Fundamentals is a lifetime certificate. So if you get certified in any fundamental technology, the certificate will be valid for your lifetime. The moment you write any associate on an expert level certification, for example, you have AZ 400. So AZ 400 is DevOps expert. All right. AZ 305. This is Microsoft Azure Solutions Architect exam. So these certification, DP 203, Azure Data Engineer, AZ 500, Azure Security Engineer, AZ 700, Azure Networking Engineer, all these certifications, they need to be renewed after 1 year. And the reason for renewal is that, let's say you got certified in 2020. Now in past 4 years, Microsoft has introduced a lot of new features, lot of new technologies as well in that particular topic. Let's say in networking or in DevOps, they have integrated new technologies, they've added a lot of more content. So Microsoft wants you to be updated with what has been added recently. All right. And that is the only case they want you to renew this certification every year. Now, renewal is not going to be a full-fledged exam that you're going to write for the first attempt. Renewal is very simple. Over there, they'll just give you a certain set of questions and you need to know the answer of those questions. All right. So Microsoft also knows that, you've updated your knowledge as and when we have launched new features, new tools. The learner has learned those new technologies and is now ready to, showcase to us that he knows those things.
Okay.
Hey, Shreyas, good evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
So my question is, how smooth the path will be the person who is already hands on the other ETLs tools?
See, if you have already understanding of how ETL works, then it's an added advantage. And let me assure you, just how you do data engineering workloads anywhere else, doing it on Azure is no different, right? Because the eventual goal that you want is the same.
Okay.
So you understand what needs to be done. But the problem that lies is, since it being on Azure, you don't know how it will be done. Yes.
Okay.
So that is the gap that will bridge for people who have existing understanding on DP2 on data engineering. They know what needs to be done, but they need to learn how is that going to be done on Azure. Yes,
Okay.
you have various data warehousing solution. So how do I create a data warehouse in Azure? So we will see how you using your Synapse Analytics dedicated SQL pool, you are going to create a data warehouse. All right. You have understanding of external tables. You have the concept of you have the entire understanding of the external table concepts. Yes, but how do I create external tables in Azure? Yes, which service do I use? So all of that clarity you will get. So basically, you are going to become a data engineer on Azure after this course. If you're already a data engineer, you're going to learn more about the Azure infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes. So Mhm.
I hope you are aware of that already. The persons who is hands-on working on this other ETL never may don't have an experience on Python. Never they used this Python as well. So
see, if let's say, for example, uh, if you've used Databricks,
okay.
yes, to use Databricks, you need to write code in Python.
Okay.
Yes. So I just need to show you how you're going to create a Databricks infrastructure. Yes. How do you create a notebook in it, and how you can create these delta tables, how you can define the source, how you can do the transformation, and how you can define the destination, and all of this using your Python or PySpark. Yes. So for that purpose, it is important, because going into the future, an Azure data engineer, any data engineer, should have certain basic understanding of these Python libraries that help you deal with data. Yes, it's an added advantage. So I will show you how you're going to use it, but then to create an expertise on it, it's on you.
Okay.
All right, because I can tell you, see, a Python course cannot be done in 5 hours. Python course you can have for 2 hours also, and Python course you can have for 80 hours also,
Yes.
depending upon what all you need to learn. So
Yeah.
that is something that you can do hands-on whenever you want. Yes. But eventually, how do you do it on Azure? Where do you write that Python code? How do you create notebooks? How do you provision the infrastructure? How do you, if you I want to process data, I need compute. Yes. Where am I going to get that compute from? In Databricks or in Data Factory or in Synapse? So all of that you're going to learn with respect to Azure.
Okay.
All right. So if
Yeah.
you're already a data engineer, you will become a cloud data engineer by the end of this course.
Okay.
One question, sir. So after the course, are we
Mhm.
going to showcase any project?
Project as such we don't have, but yes, the challenge labs, they are going to give you let's say a particular challenge that you need to implement. So we have those 11 challenge labs where it is going to be like a project which you need to implement on your own. All right. And those projects will be based on a particular tool or based on a particular service. So for example, you can have a dedicated problem on Synapse, and that is where you have to design the solution, you have to implement it end to end. So it is very similar to working on a project where you do everything on your own.
That is for the learning purpose, right? I'm asking about for the interview purpose. If I'm going for the interview, and the interviewer asks that on which project we have worked, or kind of things. So in that scenario, if I tell them that I have done these labs, then based on that, so of course they will not entertain, right?
So we can help you with that. We can help you with projects also. If you want, you can get in touch with me, we'll work on something where you will do the implementation end to end.
Because I am planning to switch my career from different profile to in this profile after 15 years.
Yes, we can help you with building that profile.
Okay.
Hello, Shreyas.
Yeah,
Sorry.
hi.
So, how this 4 year, 5 years experience guy who work on the ETL tools can into the Azure cloud? How it different? How he can manage after trying from your side?
Okay, so what I understand from your question is you want to understand how is it going to be different from the existing ETL work that you're doing, right?
Presently, and after switching to cloud, how we can manage or how difficult it will be? How we
It's
can
it's not difficult. I would say, if anything, it is more easy on cloud,
Okay.
because in cloud you get a lot of services which are managed. All right. Now the managed part over there means that a certain aspect of it will be managed by cloud service provider.
Okay.
All right. So in cloud, you get the benefit of all these services and all these tools that are going to make your life easy. As I said, creating pipelines using Azure Data Factory. You don't have to write a single line of code.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have a user interface, you just go there, you have in mind the architecture that you want to implement, and then you will have certain activities, data sets, linked services that are going to help you with that. So all of that will cover. So basically, it is not at all more difficult. If anything, cloud makes your life easy.
Okay.
All right. And since the cloud offers scalability and a lot of other features, that is where the organizations today, they want to switch to cloud, and most of the organizations are already switching to cloud. Yes, that is why the projection for cloud data engineering market is so high.
Okay. So
So
my question, like Suresh, so how we can convince the interviewer, like I worked like for 5 years or 4 years experience with other ETLs. Now I trained on the Azure certificate. So how they will convince, like never has experience in the Azure in the first time, they how they will pick in the project itself directly.
because you will get experience towards the end of it. As I said, 500 plus hours of Azure experience. Is that not sufficient for somebody to say that I have been working on Azure?
No, no. I'm saying, didn't you, I think you didn't get my question. So the
Mm-hmm.
person who has experience in the 5 years after training in the from your side. So after getting in the interview, somehow we will say like I have experience on the ETL tools. I got trained in the Azure recently and I got certified.
Mm-hmm.
So how they will pick my designation and all there itself.
See, that is why these recruiters and these companies, they're looking for these dedicated profiles itself. All right.
Uh-huh.
Most of the profiles that you will see in the job market today, they will very specifically say that we need an Azure data engineer or we need an AWS data engineer. Yes, you will see that. Why is that? Because the organizations are moving their entire infrastructure to the cloud. Yes,
Yeah.
and they're not creating a multi-cloud solution in that case. Yes, they may have a multi-cloud solution, but eventually they prefer to go with a particular cloud. Let's say it is Azure. Now, when that company wants to do data engineering, they are going to want somebody who knows data engineering on Azure.
Yeah.
All right. So that is why you don't need to convince them. They will have a requirement of an Azure data engineer. And
Okay.
you need to tell them that you know what Azure data engineering means. And
Got it.
you have experience with it, you have worked with it, you have worked with the Azure portal. Yes, you have worked you've created pipelines, you've worked with dedicated SQL pool, you've worked with serverless SQL pool, you've created external tables. Yes, you know how to use Databricks on Azure. How do you create Databricks notebooks? So all of that information you will have towards the end of this course. Yes.
So, last race. So this Azure 900 fundamentals and this data platform of 900 is under. If he is certified from the data, I mean, associate data engineer as 203, we
Mhm.
can confirm the data fundamentals and the fundamentals of Azure, both include in this data
No, these
platform.
are all separate certifications.
No, no. Different certificate, but if we
Mhm.
got certified from the data associate 203, we can
Mhm.
confirm that he has the fundamentals under the data fundamentals as well.
No, no, no.
No.
It's not related.
Acha, okay.
Okay. So basically, see, if you want to learn data engineering on Azure, the first thing that you need to know is Azure
Funda-
itself, right?
yeah.
What Azure is. So AZ900 is only going to certify that you know the basics of Azure. All right.
Okay.
Having DP203 certification means that the person already knows Azure, right? That is why you were being able to certify as a data engineer in Azure, right?
Yeah, that's my question. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is these are all separate certifications. But
Uh,
towards the end of this course, you will have knowledge to clear AZ900. You will also have knowledge to clear DP900, and you will also have knowledge to clear DP203 certification.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Shreyas, actually, I didn't get you. So, what my question is like, if I certified 203, so
Mhm.
the person who is going to certify 203 should have a knowledge like fundamentals under the data fundamentals. If the both have, then only he can clear the data 203, right?
It's all related, no? If let's say I tell you in DP203, you need to create an Azure resource. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
very simple example I'll say. If you want to create an Azure resource, what do you need to know? How do you create resources in Azure? First of all, yes,
The
when you go
fundamental.
ahead and create that resource, you should know how do you select a subscription? How do you select a resource group? Yes,
Yes.
if you need a virtual machine to be created, how do you create that virtual machine? What all extra things needs to be created with virtual machine? If I tell you that a particular service, yes, it offers availability zone. So you should know what availability zones are, and that is a part of AZ900. So what
Mm-hmm.
I meant to say here is that I will be covering the concepts of AZ900 so that all of you become familiar with Azure first.
Yeah.
All right. Then we'll cover some part of DP900. Yes, because eventually throughout this course, we'll be covering different topics that is directly or indirectly associated with DP900. But there are certain topics that we'll specifically cover for DP900 so that towards the end of this course, you're also ready to take that certification. Yes, if you want to showcase your skills that I have been certified by Microsoft as a let's say I know the data fundamentals in Azure, I know the Azure fundamentals themselves. So that is just an added advantage. What I meant to say is that towards the end of this course, you will be able to certify in all three different certifications that you have,
Okay.
but they are not related.
Okay.
And it is not mandatory to have, let's say, one certificate to get certified in the other one. That is also there.
Okay. Yeah, I got answers for my questions. Thanks, Suresh.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
your.
Thank you, Vasudev.
Suresh, I want to ask one thing that how the job would be an ADF only ADF.
Hemu, I don't. I think there's a problem with your audio. Can you? It's reverbing a bit.
Yeah, Suresh, what I'm trying to say that how the jobs would be an ADF only.
So I assume what you're trying to ask is what all we are going to cover in Azure Data Factory. Is that it? Hello.
No. I'm asking like how
Shreyas,
the jobs
he's
would be
asking the
an
question.
ADF only.
So, what is the job market for this ADF alone or Databricks alone? So, if he learns only ADF, so what is the job market opportunities?
Okay. I got the question now. So see, the job market for Azure Data Factory is also growing rapidly. It is driven by the demand or the driven by the increased demand for cloud-based data integration and ETL pipelines that we have already discussed. Yes, solution. And ADF is one critical component that many businesses are using and adopting. Yes, in today's market, particularly in industries, which focus on data engineering, analytics, cloud solution. Yes, and those companies and those organizations, almost every organization that is implementing a data engineering solution wants to create pipelines to go towards a no code or a low code solution in today's world. All right. So as more businesses they migrate their data to the cloud, there is a growing need for professionals who can manage these data pipelines, who can manage the entire orchestration, the transformation, yes, using the cloud native tools. And Azure Data Factory is one of the most important cloud native tool along with your Synapse, Analytics, and Databricks. All right. All these three are very high in demand skills.
Hi, Suresh.
Mhm.
So I joined very late. So just I want to ask few questions.
Mhm.
So may I know so do we need any DSA required for any data engineering kind of roles if you want to switch to any product-based companies, something like that?
See,
Hmm.
certain basic understanding of data structures and algorithms is essential for data engineers. All right.
Okay.
Because eventually at the end of the day, you're going to deal with data, large amounts of it.
Hmm.
Yes. So you should be aware of how you're going to efficiently handle that data. Yes. So data engineers, they need to handle these large volumes of data efficiently. And we all know that data structures, they help you to, optimize the process of data storage, data management. Yes.
Hmm.
So with that perspective, it is important. But are we going to use or are we going to see a lot of data structures when it comes to Azure data engineering? My answer would be no.
Hmm. Okay.
All right.
And one more thing is, see, actually for working professionals, so like in general, the company is going to sponsor the data engineering certifications, right? In general,
Yes.
if they want.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I have joined this training this meeting very lately. How we are going to register for an account, trial account, or using their data labs, and if we register with our company mail ID and
See,
name?
I'll answer that question. So whether your company allows you to write the certification for free or not depends on whether your company is a GSI partner with Microsoft or not. All right.
Mm,
So
mm,
Microsoft has this global skilling initiative,
mm,
and under that, it has partnership with these major IT companies. At least in India, I could say companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Accenture, all these companies, they have partnership with Microsoft. So these organizations, they help their employees write all these certification exams free of cost, right? Apart from that, if your company is a GSI partner, yes, by default, you get 50% discount to write these certifications.
Yeah.
All right. So that is a default discount that you get. But on top of that, most of these organizations, they allow you to write this exam for free by giving you vouchers to write these exams.
Okay.
Right. If your organization is not a GSI partner, yes, it does not support you to write all these exams for free, then obviously you need to get in touch with your management or your managers to ask them to reimburse it for you. All right. So there's a scheme, I think, which is very commonly followed. uh, you pay, we pass, something like that, right? So if I
Yes.
pass the exam, you reimburse me for it. So that is something that you can get to know from your organization itself.
Okay. And for last question, like suppose I have 3 years of experience. If I say how much we can expect in the market for data engineering role?
See, that definitely depends on the skills that you learn, right? So
I mean, if we say I have 3 years and I want to switch into data engineering,
yeah,
and
so
my current CTC is like 10 lakhs per annum.
mhm.
So how can I expect like
So
so
you
like
can
15 should be
definitely,
say
yeah, 15, 16, 17, something around that range. 14 to 17 is something that you can aim for.
okay. And,
I
yeah.
I have seen this, sir. Sorry to interrupt you.
Mhm.
As I believe that IT world is completely virtual industry. So if you are ready to become ghost, then you can get 25 LP as well.
Yeah.
But how to become ghost, that depends upon you.
Yeah, definitely. That is what I said, right? Eventually, it all depends on you, how much you get. So it has to be that you should be, fully prepared with Azure. You should, know each and every concept clearly. You should have really good hands-on. Yes.
That's why I asked, sir, that how I can show the project,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I'm
We'll,
ready
we'll...
to become ghost.
Okay. Thanks, Rich.
Yep. Shreyas,
So
I
may I
have
know
one question.
what is the fee for this? Fee for,
This is the most important question which was asked very late.
uh, what was the question?
fee, program fee. This,
Program fee, you can get in touch with the backend team, the NIC team. They will let you know.
Shreyas, I have one question. Comparatively, what is the difference between Azure data engineer versus AWS?
So I would just,
Both.
I'll answer that question. It all depends on how an organization has deployed its cloud infrastructure. All right, there is not much of a difference. All the Azure services that you see, you will find a very similar service on AWS also, doing the same task, but with a different name. All right. So for example, Synapse, the functionalities that Synapse offer uh, is, for example, like a serverless SQL pool or a dedicated SQL pool. All of that functionality could be implemented on AWS also. All right. So
Okay.
there are resources in uh, AWS. I think it is AWS SageMaker or something that helps you implement the similar functionality that you get with Azure Synapse on AWS platform. Now, the major difference between AWS and Azure as of date today is, I will be very honest, the market share for AWS today is around 30 to 31%. All right, the global market share in the cloud computing infrastructure, or I would say in the cloud computing world, for AWS, it's around 30 to 31%. Now, at the same time, the market share for Azure is around 26%. All right.
Okay.
But the difference between AWS and Azure today is that Azure is increasing and AWS is a declining market. All right. So it is projected that very soon, in next 3 or 4 years, Azure will take over AWS in terms of market share, at least I think in the next 5 years. All right. So yeah, I think for Synapse, I think you have something called as Azure SageMaker or Azure Rift, Amazon Redshift. Yes, Amazon Redshift. Sorry. So Amazon Redshift is the solution that is very similar to Synapse in Azure. It offers you data warehousing solutions just like Synapse. So all the services that you are going to study here, they will be present there, not by the same name, obviously with a different name, a certain set of features here and there, but eventually doing the same task. All right. But then you need to consider the fact that AWS is a declining market and Azure is expanding as a market share.
Thank you.
So, guys, with that, I think I have answered all the questions. If you have any more questions, please.
Sir, the
Mhm.
last question,
Yeah,
I'm
Anirudh.
fresher, so I'm not aware of this.
Mhm.
Sir, the job role is similar to SD1.
Yeah, you can expect it to be similar to SD1 as a fresher, but there is not. See, data engineering roles are different than development roles. All right. So you will have an Azure data engineer or a senior Azure data engineer, senior data engineer itself.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mhm. So
Yes,
how?
yes.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
What is the we should have any system requirement before to
No,
use
no,
Azure?
no, nothing. That is why the labs that we have created, no, once you launch the lab, it will open up a virtual machine in the browser itself. So
Okay,
the virtual machine is capable enough to handle any workload.
okay. We
All
should
right.
have any plan before starting the course to train under you, like
A plan as in
people
prerequisites.
ready with.
I did not hear you. Can you repeat?
We should have any pre-plan before starting the training.
Uh, Pre-plan is only that you should have understanding of SQL as of now.
Okay.
All right, that is the only prerequisite for this course. Rest all from basics, we'll cover entire all the topics.
Yeah. So as SQL means you want expert level knowledge or just mid level?
You should have mid-level knowledge.
Okay.
But eventually, if you want to become a good data engineer, you need expert level knowledge in SQL. So again, that is, I think, what Rahul and I were discussing, that it all depends on you.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Thanks.
How much you want to learn.
So here we go through with SQL Server or Oracle database mostly is
SQL.
SQL Server. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be using Microsoft SQL servers only.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right then, guys. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You have our contact details. And thank you everyone for joining in, being a part of this session.
Thank you.
I hope to see you all in the session. Yeah. So
Sorry,
that
sir. Closing. When the batch starts?
the batch starts on 16th.
16th coming Monday.
Yes.
Same
But-
time, sir. The time would be different.
Time will be from 8 to 9:30.
Morning.
No, evening. 8 to
Okay.
9:30 p.m. IST.
Monday to
9
Friday.
Yes, Monday to Friday.
morning
Okay.
shift.
The morning batch will be, I think, um,
Yeah,
we'll be
morning batch
launching.
we will start
Yeah.
after maybe 20 days or 1 month. So we have both morning as well as evening batches. Yeah. So as of now, we
So
are starting the third batch of Azure from Monday. That is evening batch.
one actually. Sir Chandra sir, if we join on Monday, so as per the timings, can we shift to the morning shift after the 20 days where after coming here? Maybe it will start from the
No.
start
So
again.
that will confuse with lab also. So if you are planning for morning session, so please join in the morning session because it will confuse the lab as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Lab,
so
and then
lab we
also
have to
we'll start from the first step again after 20 days.
Yeah.
I got that. Okay. Somehow recording session will be provided, right?
Yeah, all the recordings will be provided. All the sessions recording, so it will be on the LMS portal. So it will have lifetime access.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, Chandra and Suresh, sir. Thank you very much.
So if you want to join this batch, right? So you can contact me. So I will guide you how to register it all.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Shreyas. Thank you all for your time. So if
Thank
you
you.
want to
Thank you
join
so
the
much, Chandra.
session, so please connect with me. I will guide you.